They say trust is the foundation of marriage. I trusted my wife for 15 years. I trusted my brother too. That trust almost destroyed me. But they made one fatal mistake. They tried to fool an insurance investigator. I know how to uncover lies, document evidence, and expose fraud. They thought they could betray me and walk away rich. They had no idea what kind of hell I was about to unleash. My name is Garrett Whitman. I'm 45 years old, and until 3 months ago, I thought I had it all figured out. 15 years of marriage, a beautiful daughter Sloan who just turned 18, and a successful insurance business that kept us comfortable in our suburban Phoenix home. I even helped my younger brother Dexter get back on his feet after his divorce, giving him work at my buddy's auto shop and letting him crash in our guest room for months. The night everything fell apart was our 15th wedding anniversary. Celeste had insisted on hosting dinner at home instead of going out, which should have been red flag number one. She'd invited both our families, my parents, her mother Vivian, even Dexter. It'll be more intimate, she'd said, running her fingers through her newly highlighted hair. I was grilling steaks on a back patio when I heard the laughter from inside. Through the sliding glass door, I could see everyone gathered around the dining table, glasses of wine in hand. Celeste was wearing this red dress I'd never seen before, cut lower than anything she usually wore. She looked good, too good for a family dinner. "Dad, the steaks smell amazing," Sloan called out, stepping onto the patio. My daughter had always been my pride and joy, smart as a whip and heading to college in the fall. "Just about ready, sweetheart," I said, flipping the last piece of meat. "Your mom seems in a good mood tonight." Sloan's expression shifted slightly. "Yeah, she's been different lately. More energetic." I should have asked what she meant by that. Instead, I loaded up the platter and headed inside, ready to celebrate another year of what I thought was a solid marriage. The dinner conversation was normal enough. Work stories, Sloan's college plans, my parents asking about our vacation plans. But I noticed things. The way Celeste kept refilling Dexter's wine glass. How she laughed just a little too hard at his jokes. The glances that passed between them when they thought nobody was looking. Then came dessert, and Celeste stood up with her wine glass raised. "I want to make a toast," she announced, her voice carrying a strange confidence I hadn't heard in years. 15 years is a long time to be with one person. I felt my stomach drop, but I forced a smile. Celeste continued, "I've learned a lot about myself lately, about what I really want." She looked directly at me, then shifted her gaze to Dexter. "And I've decided I deserve to be happy." Before I could process what was happening, she leaned down and kissed Dexter. Not a peck on the cheek. A full, passionate kiss that lasted long enough for the entire room to go dead silent. My mother's wine glass shattered on the floor. The silence that followed was deafening. My mother stood frozen, staring at the broken wine glass at her feet. My father's face had turned red, his jaw working like he was chewing nails. Sloan pressed herself against the kitchen doorway, eyes wide with shock. But it was Vivian's reaction that really got to me. Celeste's mother was clapping. Actually clapping like she'd just witnessed the best performance of her life. "Good for you, sweetheart," Vivian said, beaming at her daughter. "It's about time you stopped settling." That snapped me out of my shock. Settling. I stood up so fast my chair toppled backward. What the hell is going on here? Celeste straightened up, wiping lipstick from her mouth with the back of her hand. "Garrett, don't make this harder than it needs to be." "Harder than it needs to be," I repeated, my voice rising. "You just kissed my brother at our anniversary dinner." Dexter finally found his voice. "Garrett, man, I can explain." "Explain what, Dex?" I turned on him, 15 years of brotherhood dissolving in an instant. "Explain how you've been screwing my wife while living under my roof." "It's not like that," he stammered, but his face told a different story. "Actually, it is exactly like that," Celeste said coolly. "Dexter and I have been seeing each other for 3 months. And before you start throwing accusations around, maybe you should ask yourself why I went looking elsewhere." My mother spoke up for the first time. "Celeste, how could you do this to our family?" "Your family?" Celeste laughed bitterly. "I've been invisible in this family for years. Garrett works 60 hours a week, comes home exhausted, barely looks at me. When's the last time we went on a real date, Garrett? When's the last time you made me feel wanted?" I stared at her, seeing a stranger where my wife used to be. "So, you decided to sleep with my brother?" "I decided to feel alive again," she shot back. "Something I hadn't felt in years with you." Sloan stepped forward, her voice shaking. Mom, how could you do this to Dad? To us. Oh, sweetheart. Celeste's tone softened as she looked at our daughter. You'll understand when you're older. Sometimes adults have to make difficult choices. Difficult choices? I could barely contain my rage. You call destroying our family a difficult choice. My father stood up, his voice like gravel. Celeste, I think you and your mother should leave. Now. Vivian stood as well, linking arms with her daughter. Come on, honey. Let's go. You don't need to explain yourself to these people. These people. My mother's voice was ice cold. We're family. Not anymore, Celeste said, grabbing her purse from the counter. She looked at Dexter. Are you coming? My brother sat there for a moment, looking between me and her. For a split second, I thought he might do the right thing. Then he stood up. Garrett, I'm sorry, he said quietly. I never meant for it to happen like this. But you meant for it to happen, I replied. He had no answer for that. They left together, Celeste and Dexter walking out into the night, while Vivian followed behind them like some kind of proud mother hen. The house felt hollow after they were gone. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat in my home office, staring at insurance policies and thinking about how people's lives can change in an instant. One minute you're celebrating 15 years of marriage. The next you're planning a divorce. Sloan knocked on my door around midnight. Dad, can I come in? Of course, sweetheart, I said, clearing space on the couch for her. She curled up next to me, something she hadn't done since she was little. I can't believe Mom did that. And Uncle Dexter. I know, baby. I can't believe it either. Are you going to be okay? She asked, her voice small. I put my arm around her. We're going to be fine. Both of us. What happens now? I looked at my daughter, my smart, brave daughter who didn't deserve any of this. Now I make sure we come out of this stronger than before. The next morning, I called my lawyer, Steve Morrison. We'd known each other since high school, and I trusted him with my life. Garrett, what can I do for you? Steve asked when he picked up. I need a divorce attorney. The best one you know. There was a pause. What happened? I told him everything. When I finished, Steve let out a low whistle. Your own brother? That's cold, man. But here's the thing. Arizona is a no-fault state. The affair won't matter much for the divorce itself. What about our assets? That's different, especially if we can prove she was spending marital funds on this affair. Do you have access to bank statements? I thought about Celeste's recent shopping sprees, the mysterious charges on her credit cards. I'll get them. Good. Also, document everything from here on out. Every conversation, every text message. And Garrett, don't do anything stupid. Don't give her ammunition. After I hung up, I got to work. Being in the insurance business had taught me one thing. Documentation is everything. I started with our joint bank account, printing out 3 months of statements. What I found made my blood boil. Charges at expensive restaurants I'd never been to. Hotel rooms in Scottsdale. A jewelry store purchase for $3,000. Jewelry I'd never seen Celeste wear. She'd been planning this for months, spending our money on her affair with my brother. My phone buzzed. A text from Celeste. We need to talk about the house and Sloan's college fund. I stared at the message, my jaw tightening. She wanted to negotiate? Fine. But she had no idea who she was dealing with. I typed back, talked to my lawyer. The next few days were a blur of legal meetings and financial preparations. Steve introduced me to Sarah Williams, the toughest divorce attorney in Phoenix. She was a small woman with steel gray hair and the demeanor of a pit bull. Your wife made a mistake, Sarah said during our first meeting. Flaunting the affair like that, especially in front of witnesses. It shows a pattern of behavior that won't look good in court. What about the money she spent? I asked, sliding the bank statements across her desk. Sarah's eyes lit up as she reviewed them. This is good. Very good. We can argue she dissipated marital assets. The court doesn't like that. What about Sloan? She's 18. Custody isn't an issue, but college expenses are. We'll make sure her education is protected. That evening, Sloan and I were eating takeout Chinese when she brought up something that changed everything. Dad, I need to tell you something, she said, pushing around her lo mein with her chopstick. What is it, sweetheart? I knew about Mom and Uncle Dexter. I've known for weeks. I set down my fork. What do you mean? I came home early from Jessica's house last month. I heard them in your bedroom. Her voice was barely a whisper. I wanted to tell you, but I didn't know how. My heart broke for my daughter. Sloan, why didn't you? Because I hoped it would stop, she said, tears welling up. I hoped Mom would come to her senses. I reached across the table and took her hand. This is not your fault. None of this is your fault. There's something else, Dad. Mom's been taking money from the college account. I saw her logging into the computer last week. My blood turned to ice. How much? I don't know. But she was transferring money to her personal account. I called Sarah immediately. She touched the college fund. Sarah's voice was sharp. That changes things. That money was specifically designated for Sloane's education. What can we do? We freeze everything. Tonight. I'll file emergency motions first thing tomorrow morning. Sarah, I said, looking at Sloane, who was listening intently. I want more than just to protect what's ours. I want justice. Garrett, be careful what you're asking for. I'm asking for exactly what she deserves. Nothing more, nothing less. After I hung up, Sloane looked at me with something I hadn't seen in her eyes before, respect. You're going to fight for us, aren't you, Dad? Damn right I am, I said. Your mother picked the wrong man to mess with. 3 days after freezing the accounts, Celeste showed up at my office. My secretary, Janet, tried to stop her, but Celeste pushed past her like a woman possessed. We need to talk, Celeste demanded, storming into my office in a wrinkled dress I'd never seen before. Janet, it's okay, I called out. Close the door. Celeste slammed her purse down on my desk. You froze our accounts. I can't access anything. Our accounts. I leaned back in my chair, keeping my voice calm. Last I checked, you walked out on our marriage. That doesn't mean you can steal my money. Your money. I pulled out the bank statements and spread them across the desk. You mean the money you spent on hotel rooms with my brother? The $3,000 necklace you bought him? Or maybe the weekend in Sedona I never heard about? Her face went pale. You have no right to. I have every right, I interrupted. It's called protecting marital assets from dissipation. My lawyer explained it to me. Garrett, please. We can work this out. We don't need lawyers. We don't. I stood up and walked around the desk. You humiliated me in front of both our families. You've been cheating with my brother for months. You stole from our daughter's college fund. Tell me, Celeste, exactly what part of this can we work out? I made a mistake, she said, and for the first time since this started, she looked vulnerable. I was confused, lonely. Dexter was just there. Dexter was there because I helped him. I gave him a job, a place to live. And you both decided to repay that kindness by stabbing me in the back. It wasn't supposed to happen like this, she whispered. But it did happen. And now you're going to live with the consequences. She straightened up, and I saw the old Celeste return, cold, calculating. Fine, but I want half of everything. The house, your business, your retirement accounts. All of it. I smiled. You're welcome to try. But here's the thing, Celeste. I know exactly what policies cover what assets. I know every loophole, every protection. And unlike you, I haven't been stupid enough to leave a paper trail of my bad decisions. You bastard, she hissed. No, Celeste. I'm just a man who's done being played for a fool. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. This isn't over. You're right, I said as she reached for the handle. It's not, because I'm just getting started. After she left, I called Sarah Williams. She took the bait. I told my lawyer. She's desperate. Good. Desperate people make mistakes. What's your next move? I want to know everything about where she's staying, what she's doing, who she's with. If she's living with Dexter, I want proof. I can arrange that. But Garrett, be careful. Don't let revenge cloud your judgment. This isn't revenge, Sarah. This is justice. I hire Marcus Webb, a private investigator who specialized in divorce cases. Marcus was a former police detective with a reputation for getting results without breaking any laws. Your ex-wife and brother aren't being very careful, Marcus reported a week later, sliding a manila envelope across my desk. They're staying at the Desert Palms Motel on Indian School Road. Room 217. I opened the envelope. Photos of Celeste and Dexter coming and going, time-stamped and dated. Receipts from restaurants and bars charged to a credit card in Dexter's name. A card he shouldn't have been able to afford. How's he paying for all this? I asked. That's the interesting part. Marcus said. Your brother's been doing some creative borrowing. He took out a payday loan using your wife's car as collateral. Also, it looks like she's been selling jewelry. Probably stuff she bought during the marriage. Keep digging. I want to know everything. Meanwhile, Sloane was becoming my secret weapon. She'd started monitoring her mother's social media accounts and reporting back to me. Dad, you need to see this, she said one evening, showing me her phone. Mom posted this on Instagram an hour ago. It was a photo of Celeste and Dexter at some dive bar, both drunk and laughing. The caption read, "Finally free to be myself. Hashtag new beginnings, hashtag true happiness." She's documenting her own downfall, I said, screenshotting the image. There's more, Sloan said, scrolling through the posts. Look at this from 3 days ago. Another photo, this one of Celeste wearing a designer dress I'd never seen. The background showed an expensive hotel room. Where'd she get the money for that? I wonder aloud. My question was answered the next day when Marcus called with more information. Your wife liquidated her retirement account early, he said. Took a huge penalty, but she got about $15,000 in cash. She's burning through everything. I realized. Gets better. The motel manager says they're behind on rent. Apparently, your brother's credit ran out faster than expected. That evening, Sloan dropped another piece of the puzzle. Dad, Grandma Vivian called me today. She wanted to know if I could loan Mom some money. What did you tell her? I told her I'm 18 years old and broke, Sloan said with a smirk. But she kept pushing, saying it was for emergency expenses. When I asked what kind of emergency, she hung up. I was starting to see the pattern. Celeste and Dexter were running out of money fast, and their fairy tale romance was about to hit reality. Dad, Sloan said quietly, I know this is probably wrong, but I hope they crash and burn. I put my arm around my daughter. Sweetheart, they're doing that just fine without any help from us. The next morning, Marcus called with the news I've been waiting for. They're fighting, he said, loud enough for the neighbors to complain. Hotel security had to intervene twice this week. Keep watching, I told him. I have a feeling the best is yet to come. Marcus Webb called me at 6 a.m. with urgent news. Your wife and brother had a massive fight last night. Neighbors called the cops. What happened? Apparently, she accused him of being a loser who couldn't provide for her. He accused her of using him. Hotel security had to separate them. Your brother left in his truck around midnight. I sat up in bed, fully awake now. Where is she now? Still at the motel. But here's the interesting part. After your brother left, she made several phone calls. Long ones. Then around 3 a.m., someone delivered a package to her room. What kind of package? Small, about the size of a shoebox. The delivery guy looked nervous, kept checking over his shoulder. I had a bad feeling about this. Marcus, I need you to watch her closely today. Something's about to happen. At the office, I called my insurance company and spoke to Tom Bradley, my contact there. Tom, I need to ask you something confidential. If someone wanted to commit insurance fraud by burning down a building, what would they typically do? That's an odd question, Garrett. Everything okay? Just humor me. Professional curiosity. Well, they'd usually try to make it look accidental. Electrical fire. Maybe leave some flammable materials around. The smart ones wait until the building's empty and try to establish an alibi. What about accelerants? That's where most amateurs get caught. They use too much gasoline or kerosene, leave obvious burn patterns. Why are you asking? I think someone might be planning to torch my house. There was silence on the line. Garrett, if you seriously believe that, you need to call the police. I will. But first I need proof. That afternoon, Sloan came to me with disturbing news. Dad, I just got a weird text from Mom, she said, showing me her phone. The message read, Sweetheart, I'm gonna make things right. After tonight, we'll have enough money to start fresh somewhere new. I love you. That sounds like goodbye, I said grimly. That's what I thought too. Dad, what if she's planning to hurt herself? She's not planning to hurt herself, honey. She's planning something else entirely. I called Marcus immediately. I need you to watch the house tonight. All night. If she shows up, call me and the fire department. You think she's going to try to burn it down? I'm almost certain of it. And Marcus, set up cameras. I want everything documented. That evening, I took Sloan to stay at my parents' house. As we drove away from our home, she looked back through the rear window. Are we ever going to live there again, Dad? Maybe, I said. But first, your mother needs to learn that actions have consequences. At 11 p.m., Marcus called. She's here. Parked down the street in a car I don't recognize. She's been sitting there for 20 minutes. Keep watching. Don't intervene unless you see flames. At 11:47 p.m., my phone rang again. She's moving, walking toward the house with something in her hand. Looks like a gas can. I was already in my car, racing toward home. Call 911. Now. Already done. Fire department's en route. I arrived just as Celeste was dousing the front porch with gasoline. She was so focused on her task that she didn't notice me pull up across the street. Marcus was filming everything from his van. The fire trucks were still 3 blocks away, their sirens getting louder. Celeste struck a match. I jumped out of my car and shouted, "Celeste, stop!" She spun around, the lit match still in her hand. For a moment, we stared at each other across the front yard that we'd once shared. "Garrett, what are you doing here?" "Stopping you from making the biggest mistake of your life." "You don't understand," she said, her voice frantic. "I need this insurance money. Dexter left me. I have nothing." "So you decided to commit arson?" The fire trucks rounded the corner, their sirens deafening. Celeste looked at the match in her hand, then at the approaching emergency vehicles. "You called them," she said, realization dawning. "I've been watching you all week, Celeste. I knew this was coming." She dropped the match onto the gasoline-soaked porch. Flames erupted instantly, racing up the front wall of our house. "There," she screamed. "Now you have nothing too." The firefighters moved quickly, their hoses dousing the flames before they could spread to the main structure. Within minutes, the fire was out, leaving only a charred porch and the acrid smell of smoke. Police officers surrounded Celeste, who was now crying hysterically. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this." Detective Sarah Mills read her Miranda rights while Marcus handed over his video footage to another officer. "Mr. Whitman," Detective Mills said, approaching me, "we'll need a statement from you." "Whatever you need," I said, watching as they led Celeste away in handcuffs. The next morning, Sarah Williams called with an update. "Your wife's been charged with arson, attempted insurance fraud, and destruction of property. Her bail's been set at $50,000. Will she make bail?" "Doubtful. Her mother doesn't have that kind of money, and your brother's made it clear he's done with her." A week later, Celeste's lawyer arranged a meeting. This time, she looked defeated, wearing an orange jumpsuit and shackles. "Garrett," she said quietly, "I'm sorry. I was desperate." "Sorry doesn't fix what you did, Celeste." "I know. My lawyer says I'm looking at 3 to 5 years in prison. That's not my problem anymore." "What about Sloan? She needs her mother." I leaned forward. "Sloan needed her mother 6 months ago, when you decided to start sleeping with my brother. She needed her mother when you were stealing from her college fund. And she definitely needed her mother when you chose to destroy our family." Celeste started crying. "Please, Garrett, I'll sign whatever you want. You can have everything." "I already have everything that matters," I said, standing up. "I have my daughter's respect, my self-respect, and a future without you in it." The divorce was finalized 2 months later. I got the house, the business, and sole custody of Sloan's college expenses. Celeste got 3 years in state prison. As for Dexter, he left town the day after Celeste's arrest. I haven't seen or heard from him since. My wife kissed my brother at our anniversary dinner and left me. A week later, she's pregnant, begging to come back. My daughter pleads, "Dad, you have to let him in." But I had a vasectomy. That's when I went nuclear. Wait, that's the next story. This one ended with justice served and a family rebuilt. 6 months after Celeste's arrest, life had settled into a new rhythm. The house repairs were complete, and honestly, it looked better than before. Sometimes destruction leads to something stronger. Sloan was thriving at Arizona State University, studying business with plans to join the insurance agency after graduation. She called me every Sunday, and our conversations were easier now, more honest than they'd been in years. "Dad, I have something to tell you," she said during one of our weekly calls. "What's that, sweetheart?" "I visited Mom in prison last week. I felt my jaw tighten, but I kept my voice calm." "How did that go?" "She looks terrible. Older." She kept apologizing, saying she was a different person back then. Sloan paused. "I told her that actions have consequences, and these are hers." "How do you feel about that?" "Relieved, actually. I needed to see her to know that I made the right choice staying with you." The business was booming. Word had gotten around about what Celeste had tried to do, and instead of hurting my reputation, it had actually helped. People respected how I'd handled the situation with dignity and strength. My parents were regular fixtures at Sunday dinner now, and the house felt alive again. No more walking on eggshells, no more tension crackling in the air. Marcus Webb had become a friend, not just a private investigator. He stopped by occasionally to check on us, and share updates about other cases. You know, Garrett, he said one evening over beers on my back patio, most men in your situation would have fallen apart. You handled it like a champion. I had good reasons to stay strong, I said, thinking about Sloan. Any word from your brother? I shook my head. Dexter sent a postcard from Nevada 3 months ago. Just said he was sorry and trying to get his life together. That's the last I heard. You think you'll ever forgive him? Maybe someday. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, and it definitely doesn't mean trusting again. The house felt peaceful now, like it had when Sloan was little and we were a real family. I'd started dating again. Nothing serious, just dinner here and there with a woman named Jennifer who owned a bookstore downtown. She was kind, funny, and had no interest in drama. You seem happy, Dad, Sloan observed during her last visit home. I am happy, I realized, and it was true. Good. You deserve it after everything Mom put you through. We both do, sweetheart. We both deserve better than what we had. That night, as I sat in my home office reviewing insurance policies, I thought about how much had changed. A year ago, I'd been living a lie without knowing it. Now I was living my truth. Celeste had tried to destroy everything I'd built, but instead, she'd freed me to build something better. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well. 2 years after the fire, I stood in my backyard watching Sloan graduate from college. She'd finished her degree in 3.5 years, determined to start her career and pay her own way in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer called out, Sloan Elizabeth Whitman, graduating summa cum laude with a bachelor's degree in business administration. I cheered louder than anyone in the stadium. My parents, sitting beside me, had tears in their eyes. That's our granddaughter, my mother said proudly to the strangers around us. After the ceremony, Sloan found us in the crowd. She was glowing with pride and accomplishment. Dad, I did it, she said, throwing her arms around me. You sure did, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you for believing in me when Mom didn't. That afternoon, we had a celebration dinner at Sloan's favorite restaurant. Jennifer was there too. We've been dating for over a year now, and she'd become like family to us. So what's next for you? Jennifer asked Sloan. I started Dad's agency on Monday, Sloan announced. Junior agent in training. The business is in good hands, I said, meaning every word. Later that evening, as we drove home, Sloan brought up something that had been on my mind too. Dad, I got a letter from Mom last week. She's getting out of prison in 6 months. How do you feel about that? Honestly, nothing. I don't feel anything about it. She made her choices, and now she has to live with them. She's still your mother, Sloan. No, Dad. A mother protects her children, puts their needs first, fights for their future. What she did was try to steal my college fund and burn down our lives. That's not a mother. That's just a woman who gave birth to me. I was struck by my daughter's wisdom and strength. She'd grown into an incredible woman despite everything that had happened. 6 months later, Celeste was released from prison. She called once, asking if we could meet for coffee. I declined politely. Sloan didn't return her calls at all. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she'd moved to California, trying to start over. I wished her well from a distance, but felt no need to be part of her new life. My life was full without her. The insurance agency had expanded to 3 locations. Sloan was proving to be a natural at sales and customer relations. Jennifer and I had moved in together, and there was talk of marriage in the future. Most importantly, I'd learned that sometimes losing everything you think you want is the only way to find everything you actually need. I never saw Dexter again, though I heard he'd gotten married to someone in Las Vegas and was working construction. Part of me hoped he'd found happiness, but I felt no need to reach out. The scars from that terrible anniversary dinner had healed, leaving behind wisdom and strength. I'd learned that a man's worth isn't measured by whether his wife stays faithful, but by how he handles betrayal with dignity and grace. As I sat on my back patio one evening, watching the sunset and listening to Sloan and Jennifer laugh in the kitchen, I realized something important. The best revenge against those who try to destroy you isn't retaliation. It's building a life so good that their absence becomes a gift. Celeste and Dexter had tried to tear down everything I'd built. Instead, they'd given me the chance to build something better. For that, I was almost grateful.